Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, killing of dozens of pastoralists raises tension in Nasarawa. APC presidential candidate says Naira redesign fuel scarcity deliberate sabotage. Non-availability of new Naira notes source of hardship in Nasarawa. POS operators in Bauchi lament. And on the foreign scene, WHO issues alerts as contaminated cough syrups kill 300 children in 3 countries. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Dashan Hussaina Usman. Now we'll begin with security, with the killing of dozens of Fulani pastoralists in Rukubi community in Nasarawa state is creating tension in the state and the neighboring Benue state. Reports say the situation was almost out of control among the residents of Madibbo Street in Makurdi's Wadata in the morning of Wednesday, when a body of a man allegedly killed during the military airborne bombardment in Nasarawa was conveyed to the relatives in Makurdi, but the quick intervention of the police nipped the planned protest by the residents in the bud. Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria in a statement condemns the killings, saying those killed had gone to retrieve 1,250 livestock impounded in Benue. The statement said they paid 29 million naira fine and were on their way home when they were attacked. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Saleh speaks on the incident.
Well, we received the information in the earlier hours of today. Actually, past midnight yesterday into the early hours of today, that's when I got a phone call from the security agencies that there was bombing at Rukubi. Rukubi is the border with Benue State. So the information was that some Fulanis got their cows arrested by the Benue State government as a result of this anti-open grazing law.
Yes.
So they went and paid the penalty to the Benue State government, and they came back to the border where they were asked to come and wait to receive their cows. So while they were waiting, then the bomb exploded. So there were all kinds of interpretations. Initially, they thought it was an airplane that came and bombed the place, but now it's been established that it was actually a drone that was that ignited. So a drone was sent. We don't know who sent the drone. Was it security agencies? Was it some other people? We don't know. I spoke with the governor of Benue now, not too long ago. I spoke also with the security agencies, and there seemed to be nobody claiming responsibility that he actually sent the drone. So that is the true position of how things are.
So how many people were killed?
Again, that is also very difficult to determine because so many people are given different numbers. The Fulanis themselves said that about 38 of their people were killed. They came for the burial in Doma this afternoon. The emir of Lafia was there, Andoma of Doma was there, and my deputy governor was there. So they came for that. To sit down there and start counting bodies would generate another tension. So they did not. So in Benue, the Benue state governor also told me some bodies were brought to Benue. And in fact, he said some people were even unhappy with him, that they are thinking that he is responsible. So they started tearing his posters and things like that. Again, that is just what he can tell you those things himself anyway. And I'm just trying to explain to you some of the things that happen. So anybody giving you any particular number right now may just be exaggerating. So there is, it has to be fully investigated before we can get the exact number of the people who were.
The Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria have raised alarm over the alleged kidnap of its members and loss of 15 cows in Orumba North local government area of Anambra State. The Southeast Zonal Chairman, Gidado Sadiki, while briefing newsmen, said the incident occurred in the early hours of Monday. Idado, who also alleged that the herders had been constantly harassed by some indigents in the area in recent times, however, called on the state government and security operatives to intervene.
This is making 2 times that our people were attacked. There's sometimes around November and in Dukwenu, our people were attacked there. 2 of our leaders were killed and about 4 cows were killed. So this is the second time that it happens in Orumba North. They were attacked by some unknown people, numbered about 50 persons, come in equipped with sophisticated weapon, open fire on them. So our boys have escaped, but one of them was apprehended. So we don't know the extent of destruction now.
The Nasarawa State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested a 70-year-old man, Muhammad, for allegedly killing his friend. Abubakar Abdullahi, who sent in this report, said Muhammad killed his friend due to a misunderstanding over a girlfriend in Lafia. The report is presented from our studio.
Parading the suspects before journalists, the Nasarawa State NSCDC Command Public Relations Officer Victor Jerry said Muhammad, the murder suspect, stabbed his friend Awal to death after the deceased reported the misunderstanding to Muhammad's parents.
One Awal, came to their residence to complain to the father, to Muhammad, concerning a lady that they were both in love with. So Awal came to the house and tried to tell the parents of this Muhammad so that the parents will inform Muhammad to stay clear or to stay away from that girl. Her name is Afsat, she's around 15 years old. And at the process, Muhammad, who is a herder, he came from his work and immediately he entered into their compound. He saw Awal. Before you know it, fight ensued between them, and it was an unfortunate incident that Muhammad drew out his knife and stabbed Awal directly on the chest.
The NSCDC Public Relations Officer explained that members of the public were about to lynch the suspect before his parents took him to the command headquarters in Lafia. He said another suspect, Ishaya Emmanuel, who allegedly raped a 5-year-old girl, was arrested when the victim's mother reported the suspect to the command after discovering strange marks on the body of her daughter. The 2 suspects admitted to committing the offences.
Then I went home to hear what happened, and as I entered the house, he confronted me, asking that I am looking for him. Then fight ensued between us, and I was having a knife which I brought out to throw away, but I don't know how it caught him.
Yes, because I carried the girl, hold the girl in my hand, then I release span, then I can't release the girl.
Why did you do that?
It's by mistake, sir.
The suspects are expected to be charged to court after investigation.
Still on security, bandits on Tuesday fired rocket-propelled grenades towards Birnin Magaji town, headquarters of Birnin Magaji local government area of Zamfara state. Birnin Magaji local government shares boundary with troubled Batsari local council of the neighboring Katsina state. The local government has been a hot spot for bandits' activities, largely being perpetrated by the boys of Ankarami and one Ardo Nashawari. The vigilante leader, who craved anonymity, said armed criminals had earlier attacked some farmers tending to their lands just a kilometer east of the town. He said a motorbike with armed men arrived and began firing grenades towards the direction, adding that one of them exploded and left a large crater near a stream. He added that no one was killed or harmed in the attack. The State Police Command could not be immediately reached for comments. Moving on to politics, the Abia State People's Democratic Party governorship candidate, Professor Uche Konne, is dead. A statement from the deceased son, Uche Konne, said his father died on Wednesday at the National Hospital, Abuja, after a brief illness. The statement added that the late Abia PDP governorship flag bearer was recovering after taking proper treatment in the United Kingdom, but relapsed a few days ago, leading to multiple cardiac arrests from which he didn't recover from. Now, speaking on the implication of the death of the candidate, INEC National Commissioner Festus Ikoye said the party must hold a fresh primary to nominate a new candidate.
Or withdrawal by the candidate. Now, based on the timetable and schedule of activities released by the Independent National Electoral Commission on the 26th day of February 2022, the period for substitution of candidates, the period for withdrawal of candidates has elapsed. And it elapsed for governorship and state assembly candidates on the 12th day of August 2022. But that is completely different. The same section 33 of the Electoral Act provides that when a candidate dies within a period that it is still possible to conduct a fresh primaries, that the political party whose candidate died shall inform the Independent National Electoral Commission of the fact of death and also provide evidence of death. And the moment they do that, they will also provide a timeline within a period of 14 days within which they will conduct fresh primaries to nominate a new candidate or a fresh candidate to become his governorship candidate. However, if a duly nominated governorship candidate dies a few days, just a few days, say for instance 2 days to an election, the law is that the commission or the chief electoral commissioner for the federation shall countermand that particular election and then give the political party involved a period of 14 days within which to make a fresh nomination. And the election will now take place within a period of 21 days from the period of countermanding the election. But if the candidate dies when election has already commenced, the deputy governorship candidate shall continue with the election as the governorship candidate and nominate a deputy to run with him. And so the law is very, very clear. The party involved has sufficient time, has 14 days within which to conduct fresh primaries, nominate a fresh candidate, submit to the Independent National Electoral Commission, and continue with his campaign.
Presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has said fuel scarcity and the redesign of 3 Naira notes will not dissuade his supporters from voting him in. He said there are deliberate attempts by some persons to sabotage his chances in the February 25th presidential poll. Speaking in Yoruba language, Tinubu said this on Wednesday during a rally at the MKO Abiola Stadium in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. He assured the people of the state that he will end fuel scarcity if elected, saying next month's presidential poll is a revolution. He urged the people of the state to get their permanent voter cards, saying he will take over government through PVCs. Ogun State Governor Dakwa Abiodun, who is seeking re-election, the chairman of the Lagos State Parks and Garages Management, Musiliu Akinsonya, popularly called MC Oluomo, amongst other party stalwarts, attended the rally. Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi has promised to secure Nigeria if elected in February's poll. Obi made the promise at the Pantami Stadium in Gombe State on Wednesday at the Labour Party's rally in the state. He said security would be his priority in order to ensure that other sectors of the economy work for the good of all.
Poverty all over the place. We in Labour Party, that year time, one simple thing. A is to secure and unite Nigeria. We want a united Nigeria. We want to secure and unite Nigeria. We want to remove Nigeria from consumption to production. Because we want it to have jobs. We want it to have a job. We want the youth to have something they are doing. We can no longer stay in a country where our youth are not doing anything. We want our youth to do something. They will come to tell you to vote for them. I say we have no structure.
As the deadline for the phasing out of the old 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes draws closer, residents of Nasarawa State are lamenting the hardship the policy has inflicted on them. This, they say, is as a result of the unavailability of the notes for daily business transactions. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
Like many Nigerians, residents of Nasarawa State are not happy with the stress they are going through, either in exchanging the old naira notes for new ones or in paying for products and services. Trust TV News observed that it is difficult to get the new naira notes even in banks, while at some of the ATMs, customers can only withdraw a maximum of 20,000 naira per day. It was also guarded that some vendors have already stopped collecting the old naira notes, while banks are still issuing old notes to customers.
The government have given over 100 days for us to change our money to the new one. But quite unfortunate, there is no new note in the banks.
The Nasarawa State Chairman of Traders and Marketing Association, Turaki Gamji, decried the hardship occasioned by lack of the new notes and called for the extension of the deadline to prevent public from losing their earnings.
Wanda suke cikin birni ma wa'annan wuraren ba su wadace su ba. Ballantana mutumin.
Where will the villagers start this? Because the cash in the banks are not enough to circulate those in the cities. I am thinking and advising the government to look into the plight of the citizens to extend the deadline, especially we the marketers, because we are facing a serious threat by the process.
He said the association would continue to enlighten the public on the importance of depositing the old notes in the bank.
In the same vein, point-of-sale operators in Bauchi State have accused the Central Bank of Nigeria of not considering the plight of Nigerian masses in its new Naira regime. The operators who are reacting to the daily POS withdrawal limit imposed by the Apex Bank are also appealing to the CBN to extend the deadline to allow customers who prefer to use the POS than go into the banks. Trust TV's Adamu Imam examines the situation within the metropolis and now reports.
Barely days to stop using Nigerian old Naira notes, but a lot of people are still making transactions with the old ones at various points of sale. In Bauchi State, the operators lament on the situation, says they have no option despite the deadline.
This is a short term, so it's not enough for us to handle this issue at this moment, because there are people who are living in the rural areas, which they don't have even a single bank that you can go to one local government and you don't have a single bank in that local government. I don't think this issue will solve at this moment.
We just want to collect. If we didn't collect, we will not do any transaction. We will just stand like we are doing nothing. The money that is inside at the hand of the people, it's all money. There is no that new money.
Meanwhile, customers across the state also share their experiences with the current issues compounded by the introduction of new Naira currency by the Central Bank of Nigeria, while withdrawal cash at the automated teller machines. We agree that Naira notes are the property of the government, but accepted as our legal tender. So it is not out of place that every bank should comply and issue enough of the new notes for circulation. Also, the limit for withdrawal should be extended to at least 40,000 Naira per day. We are still appealing. I was surprised to notice yesterday that my friend forgot his new Naira notes in his pocket and took the clothes that had them to do laundry. He later found out that the money had completely washed away and become colorless. Honestly, I think it is not good for our money to be looking like that, and the deadline is too close for all Nigerians to get those notes. We the masses are always at the receiving end. I came to this ATM after visiting other banks, only to notice that it is the old Naira notes that the machines are dispensing. Here there are new ones, but only one machine is working. Majority of people are not transacting with new notes because they are scarce. We are appealing to the government to prevail on the CBN to address the situation. However, recently the officials of the central bank went some marketplaces in various states of the federation to make a serious awareness on the danger of holding the old Naira notes after the deadline of 31st of January 2023. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Similarly, the House of Representatives ad hoc committee constituted during Tuesday's plenary by Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila on the need to review the 31st January 2023 deadline to phase out old currency has rescheduled its meeting with the Central Bank of Nigeria and commercial bank CEOs. The meeting was earlier rescheduled for Wednesday. Announcing the postponement of the meeting to Thursday and Friday, the committee chairman, Alhassa Ado Doguwa, said the shift became imperative following the late receipt of the earlier invitation by the CBN. He said the ad hoc committee is to have separate meetings with both the CBN officials and bank chiefs.
Based on the communication I just received from the central bank, is that our letter of invitation got to the bank very, very late yesterday. You can all agree with me that the resolution was taken at the end of our sitting yesterday, the 24th of January 2023. And before we could finish necessary procedures, the letters were signed in to the central bank late. So the liaison officer of the bank spoke to us this evening that they were not able to really act on the letter to allow for their engagement today. And on this note, I would like to convey to members of the committee and of course to the members of the public and the press that are here with us, that we have considered to allow the central bank officials to come up tomorrow by 1 p.m. tomorrow by 1 p.m. so that we will engage them, and immediately after our engagement with the officials of the central bank, we will engage the bank operators. This is the decision of the committee.
The House of Representatives has asked security agencies to fish out oil marketers and other economic saboteurs that may be responsible for the fuel scarcity which has persisted for months across the country. In a motion from Representative Leke Abejide, the House wants the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, being the sole importer of refined petroleum products, to find ways of easing queues at filling stations. The House also mandated the relevant House committees to conduct an investigation on the matter and resolved to invite the regulatory body in the sector for a meeting with the leadership of the House of Representatives. It noted with concern that despite the approval of subsidy by the federal government, some saboteurs deliberately manipulate the system and cause Nigerians untold hardship. You're watching Trust News Hour. Coming up after the break, how people with disabilities are coping with high cost of living in Katsina. Do stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Daily Trust presents 20th Daily Trust Dialogue. Theme: Interrogating the 2023 Presidential Agenda. Panelists: Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, former Chairman, First Bank of Nigeria. Professor Jibrin Ibrahim, Professor of Political Science and member of the Board of the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD. Dr. Yetunde Anibaba, Lecturer, Analysis of Business Problems, Lagos Business School. Dr. Eugene Enahoro, Human Capacity Development Specialist and CEO, Heltoni Services Limited. Chairman of the event, John Cardinal Onaikon, Archbishop Emeritus of Abuja. Royal Father of the Day, Alhaji Samaila Muhammad, MFR, Sarkin Karshi, Abuja. Date, Thursday, 25th January 2023. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, NAF Conference Center and Suites, Gwarimpa Expressway, near Next Shopping Mall, Kado, Abuja. For sponsorship and branding participation, contact 081 00 49 1948, 081 65 32 0660, or 080 33 92 8902. The event will be broadcast live on Trust TV.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
The July 1966 counter-coup that toppled the first military government of General Agui Ironsi has one living witness, his ADC. Then, Lieutenant Sani Bello was with him that fateful morning in Government House, Ibadan. For the first time, now Colonel Sani Bello, former military governor of Kano State and multi-millionaire businessman, speaks to Trust Television on how Ironsi and his host, Colonel Fajui, lost their lives and how he survived to tell the story.
As we were jumping to the Land Rover, we had a machine gun fire. Dada rushed back. What happened, Sabijo? So he was trying to run away. And we shot him. Who was it? Fajui. They killed Fajui.
Catch up on this bit of living history on Trust Television on Saturday, 28th January between 8 and 9 p.m. and in Sunday Trust, 29th January.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our stories. We told you that killing of dozens of pastoralists raises tension in Nasarawa State. We also heard that APC presidential candidate says Naira redesign fuel scarcity deliberate sabotage. Moving to more stories now, Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika says disruptions at the nation's airports will no longer be condoned as aviation is an essential service. The minister spoke on Wednesday to newsmen at State House Abuja after the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council. Apologizing to Nigerians for flight disruptions on Monday, Sirika said a government would, going forward, strictly apply the law of the land concerning strikes. Kehinde Amodu reports.
A 14-hour strike on Monday affected domestic and international airline operations serviced by the Nigerian Aviation Handling Company, NACO. Airlines have claimed they lost millions of naira due to flight cancellations as long as the strike lasted. A clearly displeased Minister of Aviation is laying down the line and insisting situations like this will no longer be tolerated, as strikes and riots around the nation's airports are prohibited by the laws of the land.
And now that we have the act in place, assented by Mr. President, passed by National Assembly, we will deal with it according to the law. We will ensure that no essential service is being disrupted by anybody, no matter how aggrieved. There are other channels of channeling issues when they arise, but they are not permitted to hold strike because aviation is an essential service.
The hard stance is coming on a day the minister has obtained approval from the cabinet for the rehabilitation and reconstruction of the Hadejia airstrip at the cost of 7.4 billion naira. Meanwhile, the council approved a national Duct 1 policy, which aims to institutionalize provisions for ducts during construction in Nigeria at federal, state, and even local government levels.
So by implication, during road construction, bridges, rail lines, seaports, stadium, and all other important buildings, we should make provision of ducts where at least any wire or any gadget for electricity or telecommunications or any service that is required will make use of that facility and lay their cables.
The federal government has also approved the National Child Online Protection Policy and Strategy.
We leverage on our existing laws to come up with the policy. Like Cybercrime Act 2015, there is a provision of protecting all citizens, and children are part and parcel of our citizens. Also, we have Child Rights Act 2003.
The policy also makes provision for the protection of online content and other legislations. From State House Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Thank you, Kehinde, for that report. Now, the Senate on Wednesday confirmed the nomination of a former Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, for appointment as the chairman of the Police Service Commission. President Muhammadu Buhari had, in a letter to the Senate on Tuesday, asked the upper chamber of the National Assembly to consider and screen the nominee for the post of chairman, Police Service Commission. Presenting the report of the committee to the Senate during plenary, Senator Jika Haliru said Arase performed creditably during the screening exercise and proved that he has the capacity to lead the Police Service Commission as its chairman. The Senate, after adopting the report, unanimously confirmed Solomon Arase as a substantive chairman of the Police Service Commission.
The committee deliberated extensively on the nominee's qualification, capacity, suitability, and competence for appointment as chairman of the Police Service Commission during the screening process, and made the following findings and observations as a result: that the nominee met the legal requirement outlined in Section 154, Subsection 1, and Section 2A and B of the Police Service Commission Establishment Act 2001. Secondly, that the committee has determined, based on fact and existing laws, that the nominee presented by Mr. President for confirmation for appointment as chairman of the Police Service Commission has met the necessary legal requirement, and he is hereby affirmed to be a fit and proper person for appointment as chairman of the Police Service Commission.
Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Solomon Arase, retired IGP, for appointment as chairman, Police Service Commission? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Solomon Arisha, retired IGP, is hereby confirmed as Chairman, Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission and the police force, or police headquarters, need to work together very, very closely, peacefully, and cordially to ensure that we are properly policed in Nigeria. There were conflicts before. I think it was needless to have serious misunderstanding really between the two institutions, the Police Service Commission and of course the Nigeria Police Force.
After considering several reports of its Committee on TET Fund seeking for the establishment of tertiary institutions, as well as the report of the Committee on Health on the legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center Okigwe in Imo State, the Red Chamber adjourned plenary till 28th of February 2023 after the presidential election. As the 2023 elections draw nearer, the Independent National Electoral Commission in the state says more than 50% of permanent voters' cards are yet to be collected. The head of voter education of the commission in the state, Egurube Otokpa, who disclosed this in Jos, said the development requires urgent attention to enable more people to participate in the elections. Moving on, with a few days to presidential elections and National Assembly elections, Makurdi residents are skeptical about exercising their franchise going by the PVC distribution process in the state. Jimmy Adzande reports that the crowd at the INEC head office in Makurdi showed that many may not be able to vote if the process is not improved. The report.
This is a weekday where people are supposed to be at work. But the situation at the INEC head office is overwhelming. Everyone trying to locate and collect their PVC before the polls. Makurdi residents said they want their voices to be heard, but the process of collecting PVCs is cumbersome, therefore discouraging.
The first experience, I went to my ward unit at Wadata there, and I was directed that I should come here. When I was, they said that the PVCs are not yet, that they are here. And I left my place at Wadata, which is far away from now. And I'm just hoping, I don't know when to be. I will even live here. I don't even know.
Even from my parents since last 2 weeks, because of a voter's card. If I go my polling unit, I should come tomorrow, come next tomorrow. From there, they will direct me to another, so go to INEC. If I come this INEC, go the other side. I'll be transporting myself. I'm leaving my business because of a voter's card.
This is my fourth time, let's say fourth, because the first time I came here, they said I should go to this Suswan, thank you. So I went there. They gave me another appointment to come back on Friday, which I did.
Moving from one polling unit to another, and yet no success of locating their PVCs, this group of people were directed to the INEC head office with the hope of locating and collecting their cards. While some people traveled long distances to find their cards, others do not have the resources to move from one point to another.
He said everybody is supposed to vote, that the reason why I can't collect cards is this, but I'm ready to vote. But as the way they are the transport, nobody they give me transport. I go to one, thank you, 4 days. I not see my card. Then direct me, say make I come here today. As I come here today, if the thing no work again, I don't tire for transport. Now the reason why they quarrel that the best this money be that.
The resilience shown by the residents this year showed that people are more politically conscious and are eager to participate in choosing who leads them. They lamented the current socio-economic and political realities in the country, where they hope for change, which can only happen when they decide in the polls who leads.
This is not the first time I've come here. I've been here for quite a long time, checking my PVC, because I lost the other one I made when I was at the depot there. So I've been coming around to make sure I get it. They refer me to secondary school, Anglican secondary school. That is my collection place where I will collect my PVC.
There are calls from different stakeholders for INEC to consider further extension of PVC collection to enable people collect their PVCs, as Nigerians are determined to vote in the next elections.
A professor of virology, Oyewale Tomori, has advised Nigerians to ensure improved vaccination of their children as diphtheria continues to spread and more deaths reported across 4 states in Nigeria. He also said the worst is not over, as the disease could still spread to other states as a result of negligence in vaccinating affected persons with the pentavalent vaccine.
I think it's probably going to occur in other states. I think it's just gradually coming. It's accumulation of incomplete vaccination of our children. And over the years, we have been accumulating vulnerable children. So if you have 100 children this year and you vaccinate only 60 of them, that means you have 40. Next year you have the same thing, the number becomes 80. We're probably getting 1 or 2 cases of diphtheria in the past time, but now we have this large number of vulnerable children and they're coming about the same time. That's why we're shouting epidemic or outbreak or something. I think it's a failure of the past, whether we like it or not. If we had done our immunization up to 80% or more, we won't be talking about diphtheria. If you have been vaccinated, you're still protected. There's no doubt about that, and that's what happens. Like yellow fever, you vaccinate a large number and then you can reduce the spread. Like polio itself, you have your large number of children, then you don't have what we're circulating vaccine-derived polio. So those are the kind of things. So raise your immunity coverage for all your children, and then you can prevent a lot of these vaccine-preventable diseases. That's the only essence of vaccination.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Osun State Government has commenced the process of domesticating the National Food and Nutrition Policy to meet the nutrition need of the state. At the crafting of the Osun State Food and Nutrition Policy at Ada on Tuesday, the head of service, Ayanleye Oino, said the policy will guide the state government in addressing issues around malnutrition in the state. He said the current administration in the state is committed to the welfare of the people of the state, adding that the food and nutrition are important in ensuring healthy living. Coordinating Director, Ministry of Economic Planning, Budget and Development, Yetunde Esan, and a nutrition policy expert, Bamidele Omotola, said the policy will benefit children, women, and all residents of the state.
Policy on food and nutrition for Osun State is to enable the state to have a guide, a document that will guide the state on how to implement the food and nutrition in the state.
For taking this bold step in domesticating the national plan, it also shows that they have reaffirmed their commitment to develop a policy that will chart the way forward for the state in dealing with the issues of food and nutrition, and more importantly, in charting the way to be able to achieve the sustainable development goals through the food system, making sure adequate nutrition for all in the state. And to be able to achieve adequate nutrition for all in the state, it requires careful plan.
Physically challenged persons, especially in communities where most residents are low-income earners, are ruining the harsh economic reality of the present-day Nigeria. Katsina is one of such states where most of its inhabitants are people living below the United Nations poverty line. Abdullahi Yemadi takes a look at the lives of some physically challenged persons and how they struggle to make ends meet. The report.
Tukur Lurwanu, a professional shoemaker and an NCE holder from Federal College of Education, Katsina, says most of their members are in abject poverty. Though Tukur admitted that a greater percentage of physically challenged persons in Katsina have received trainings on various skills, he says many are out of business because of high cost of materials.
Under my control, the people that are behind me in making shoes, those are physically challenged. I have at least 10 physically challenged people. But as you see me here, nobody is behind me, left and right, back and front. Why? Because of the expenses of life and the changes of life.
These physically challenged persons who are engaged in various businesses and handicrafts were forced to close down due to the high cost of materials and lack of capital. Before now, I was into tea and bread business, and I was doing very well. But unfortunately, after the coronavirus pandemic, coupled with the surging cost of materials, I was forced out of the business. I had about 4 people working under me, but right now, I'm struggling to feed myself. I had a capital of close to 500,000 naira. Due to inflation, I'm now in packaged water business. All I had went down the drain. In spite of all this, there are still some physically challenged persons who are comfortable in their businesses, but not without challenges.
To, kasuwa ana yi kuma ana samun ci gaba.
For us, we are still able to get a little that can take care of our daily needs from this business. We can feed ourselves, pay school fees, service our tricycles, and assist others where necessary. However, we need more empowerment and better patronage. The physically challenged persons in Katsina are positive that their problems would drastically reduce if the government establishes a commission that will take care of them. Similarly, the appeals to northern leaders to champion a cause that will empower their members and help reduce street begging and other vices. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. More stories shortly.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Ba a iya sutura da abinci jin daɗin duniyar mu ya ƙare. Za ka iya more rayuwarka da kayan alfarma na kamfanin Vento Furniture kamar su Ladi Corner Sets, Escape Sofa Sets, Acadia Sofa, Piano Sofa Sets, Sofa Corner Sets, Vento Sofa Sets. Sannan kuma za ku iya saka ƙayatattun gadaje na alfarma a ɗakunan kamar su Gold Cream Bedroom Sets ko kuma ku wadata falon ku da kujeru na alfarma irin su Sare Royal Set da Acadia Dining Sets. Ofishoshin ku kuwa za ku iya saka manya-manyan kujeru na kece raini domin walwala da jin daɗin ku da abokan hulɗa. Kamfanin Vento Furniture ya tanadar muku gadajen bacci na yara masu inganci, kayan ɗaki irin na angwaye da amare har ma da sarakuna. Muna da shagunan mu a gurare kamar haka: 79 Allen Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos; 7A Azikiwe Road, Port Harcourt; 25 Glover Road, Ikoyi, Lagos; Shop U1 Jabi Lake Mall, Abuja; da kuma 4330 Walker Road, Windsor, Ontario ga mazauna ƙasar Canada. Vento Furniture, mun zagaye ko'ina.
Oh dear residents of the FCT, the dry season is here again, a time when the Harmattan haze is intense and combustibles burn faster. So be responsible and take precautions. Stop bush burning. Stop the sale of gas in areas not approved for such purpose. Make sure you put off all electric appliances when leaving home or the office. Remember, fire is an obedient servant and a bad master and has caused colossal damage to lives and property in our dear territory. Support FCT Emergency Management Agency today to prevent fire disaster. For any emergencies in the FCT, call FEMA on the 112 toll-free number or 080-5722-4574. FEMA, reducing disaster risk for a safe and happy FCT.
documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
Online retail giant Amazon on Wednesday faced its first strike by UK workers who are protesting over a pay rise deemed unacceptable in a cost of living crisis. A few hundred workers at a warehouse in Coventry, central England, walked out over a pay increase worth 5%, less than half the current UK inflation rate. It comes as tens of thousands of UK workers, including nurses, teachers and railway staff, are striking to try and secure pay increases that keep pace with sky-high inflation. According to a GMB official, Amanda Guerin, workers were protesting also against other conditions which one described as horrendous. However, Amazon in response said in a statement that a tiny proportion of the workforce were involved in the UK strike action. And finally, in stocks, Wednesday's trading activities in the Florida Nigerian stock market closed bearish on profit taken in MTN Nigeria and 15 other stocks. The all-share index declined by 0.02% to close at 52,599.65 points. Market capitalization declined by 0.02% to close at 28.650 trillion naira, shedding 7 billion naira. The market breadth closed positive as 21 equities emerged as gainers against 16 equities that declined in their share prices. An aggregate of 119.8 million units of shares was traded in 3,552 deals, valued at about 2.7 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Now let's take a look at the international scene, where the World Health Organization has issued alerts to countries to prevent, detect and respond to incidents of substandard and falsified medical products as contaminated cough syrups kill 300 children in at least 3 countries. WHO in a statement said over the past 4 months, countries have reported several incidents of over-the-counter cough syrups for children with confirmed or suspected contamination of high levels of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol. The body has since issued 3 global medical alerts addressing the outbreaks in the Gambia, Indonesia, and Uzbekistan. WHO called on key stakeholders engaged in the medical supply chain to take immediate and coordinated action. It further called on regulators and governments to detect and remove from circulation in their respective markets any substandard medical products that have been identified in the WHO medical alerts as potential causes of deaths and disease. And now, let's take a look at sports.
The Solid Miners lost to Eyimba, El Kanemi and Aqua United in their first 3 matches in Group A in the 2022-2023 Abridged Nigerian Professional Football League, which has not gone down well with the Nasarawa State government. The warning was handed through the Commissioner for Youth and Sport Development, Lucky Isaac Yagwa, in Lafia, after an emergency meeting with the management and technical crew of the club to brainstorm on the way forward for the team. Yagwa expressed worry over the poor performance put up by the team, emphasizing that the state government and all supporters of Solid Miners are worried with the situation currently befalling the club, even though there is still hope to turn around the situation.
Nasarawa State government, through the Ministry of Youth and Sport Development, has issued a 3-match ultimatum to the management and technical crew of the club. The government and citizens of Nasarawa State are disheartened by the poor run of the Solid Miners in the ongoing 2022-2023 League, Nigerian Professional Football League season, despite government huge commitment and support to enable the club to attain its mandate.
Yagwa maintained that the ministry has been following up the activities of the club this season, affirming that neither the government nor the state is happy with the result and present position on the league table. The club's chairman, Isaac Danladi, who apologized for the unimpressive performance of the team, says the state government and the citizens of the state have every reason to be worried about the team's result, considering the financial and moral support Solid Miners have received from the state government, and hope that things will turn around for good for the Solid Miners.
In the ongoing 2022-2023 average league season, the government and people of Nasarawa State, have every cause to be worried because the number one financial club has provided all the logistics in terms of finances, in terms of moral support and otherwise. I want to assure you, on behalf of the management, players and officials of the club, that Nasarawa United will maintain its glory.
Nasarawa United will face Gombe United in an away match before facing Plateau United in Jos and Shooting Stars in Ibadan, while they hope to return to Lafia as soon as the stadium is fully fixed for their home matches. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.